L is done, and now I can let the healing begin as we look at Welcome to Pia Carrot, Episode 1, after the title. See you guys over there. Hey guys, welcome to the H-Binder. I'm your host, Bobby. New videos are posted here every Wednesday, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. I almost give you guys the posting schedule for my other channel, Trash with a capital T, which posts Sundays, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. I just want to get through this intro because I can't wait to start watching the show. So we are doing something completely different. We are watching something completely different, and thank the hentai gods for that, because I could not take another week of the depravity that was L. No, never again. Never again. That show is in hentai jail. This week we are covering Welcome to Pia Carrot, Episode 1. This is a series based off of the eroge created by Cocktail Soft. I don't remember when it was released. The eroge actually does have an unofficial English patch, and you can emulate it, but it is really hard to emulate. It's for like the PCFX, which is a nightmare. I tried. I did get to play some of the game, but getting it to emulate regularly was just freaking difficult. And I won't post links or anything like that. I don't want to get in trouble for it. But if those games ever came out in English, I would swoop it. I would pick them up. Like, I was really impressed with the writing in the game, and the show is enjoyable. It does not get to go to the depths that the game does when it comes to developing the characters. That is actually one of the things that Welcome to Pia Carrot is known for, at least the original game, is really fleshing out the majority or a good chunk of the dateable characters. So you have characters who have real struggles, psychological struggles, and your playable character is rewarded by treating them as humans, not sex objects, which includes, in some situations, not engaging in sexual activity, but choosing to instead just be a friend, to be supportive, and to be a decent human being. I know! Woo! And I do know a lot of that does carry out over into the show, although the show has a much simpler focus on the characters. This is one of those shows, each episode focuses on one female character that the main character does get closer to, and of course it ends with them having a smexy time. Although fairly tame vanilla smexy time. So, having said that, I cannot wait to sit down and cleanse my brain from the horror that was L with the wonderfulness that is Welcome to Pia Carrot. And I really hope it holds up as well as it does in my memory. Oh my goodness. Okay, so having said all that and finishing my rambling, I will see you guys on the other side of the episode. All right, fingers crossed this one is less painful than the last. All right, we are on the other side of the episode. So I have watched Welcome to Pia Carrot, Episode 1. And it was exactly as I hoped it would be. It is light, it is fluffy, it is perfect couples material. You really do not have a lot of sexual content. There really is only one sex scene in the whole 30-minute episode that happens at the end, which is not uncommon for shows like this that are based off of dating sims. You see the same thing when I saw End of Summer, which is the dokusei series. So this episode, we are introduced to Yusuke, who is, I'm probably going to butcher all these names like I always do, and I apologize ahead of time, who is our protagonist, and he is being forced to essentially work at his family's restaurant. He thought he was going to spend the summer at the beach, and instead he is a busboy. And he is working there with, I have all the characters' names up because I don't remember any of them. They do not stick. So he is working there with his longtime friend Satomi, who beats the crap out of him constantly. And I don't know why they're friends, because I think she hates him, but she secretly loves him because she is the endgame girl. She is the one you're going to see in all of the artwork with the big brown ponytail. The character designs in this show are actually quite fun. I really do enjoy them. They're not as over the top. You do have the brightly colored hair, but they're not super over the top. Except for the female protagonist that we focus on in this episode, which is Reika. So Reika is the curviest of the female cast members. She also, in the game, has one of the more interesting stories. So in the game, it comes to play that she psychologically bases a lot of her self-worth on being seen as attractive by men. And she is using Yusuke, our hero, as kind of a way to build up her, not confidence, but to use him to kind of keep herself feeling secure in herself. Now, one of the notable parts of the game is there's a point where she shows up at his apartment and she is wearing a trench coat and nothing else, and she propositions him. And at that point, you have an option to either sleep with her or you don't sleep with her. And in the game, it actually rewards you for recognizing that she is not in a psychologically good place, that sleeping with her would be taking advantage of her and rejecting her. That is how you get to her good ending. We do not get any of that depth in this episode, sadly. We get a hint at what's going on with her, as her relationship with Yusuke is kind of the central plot for episode 1. Basically, we get a lot of setup. We kind of meet a couple of the women who work in the restaurant with Yusuke, and we see how they interact with him. And then there's a lot of cute interplay, but the substance really is between Reika and Yusuke. So it's a lot of flirting. She falls a lot, and he's catching her, and there's a lot of cute moments, but it's very obvious she's playing with him, and he calls her out on that several times. Not in like a bad way, but he's like, I know you're not really doing this. You're playing with me. You're trying to get a reaction out of me. And the scenes between them, I wish could kind of get to the depth that you get from the game. Sadly, you do not get there. But also, I do understand you have 30 minutes to tell Reika's story. That's it. Because the next episode moves on to another girl working at the restaurant. Forget her name, but we get her set up, kind of implied already through the preview. And of course, then everything has to lead back to Satomi. So the culmination of this is Reika is flirting with him. She falls off a stepladder, because like I said, girl always be falling. He catches her, accidentally touches her boobs. And she thinks it's funny, and she's like, you never touched a boob before? And he's like, nope, never did it. But she tells him to meet her at this park at a specific time. She has to go on a date, and she wants to see him after. And there's obviously something going on with her, because he goes there and she is sad. She's slowly crying. She turns to him, trips again. I think part of that is supposed to actually be on purpose, where she's constantly falling into his arms. And she talks him into going back to her place, which he does, and they do sleep together. And that's really the episode. It's not a lot. There's not a ton of substance here. Now, some of the things I did like. It is light. The interactions between the characters are very cute and sweet. Yusuke, while a little bit of an ass, is not a bad character. He has more personality than a lot of these types of characters have. I already mentioned the character designs. The character designs are they're very well developed. You could tell the characters apart very easily. They all have very distinct looks. The color palette is on the bright side without being obnoxious. One of my favorite parts of Pia Carrot is the wardrobe design, which is a weird thing to say, but the restaurants, when you play the game, you choose the uniform that they wear at the restaurant. That is one of the notable things about the restaurant within the world of the game, is that all of the waitresses and waiters wear these cute uniforms, and you can pick the uniform. And it looks like the show is going to swap the uniforms each episode. So in this one, we are getting the orange variation, which is the one you most commonly see associated with Satomi on a lot of the artwork. I'll actually try and pop some up here so you can get an idea of what I'm talking about. And I love that part of it. The world feels very simple but vibrant, and the animation is okay. This is where I ran into my biggest problem the original time I watched it and watching it now. Overall, the animation is adequate. My big issue is the characters very rarely stay on model. Now, I have mentioned this previously, and I realized I never explained that. So when I say a character is off model, when you have a character, you have a character sheet. And that character sheet gives you an idea of what that character looks like in various poses, positions, So you have a consistent look throughout the show of how the character is supposed to appear. What happens here is the characters, when they move, they will go out of focus, they will lose definition, they will kind of change shape. It's not terrible, and the animation overall is okay, although there is a lot of panning over cells and stuff like that. This obviously was not a huge budget production. But everything looks okay. It's adequate. Even the love scene towards the end, because there is only the one, even the love scene is on the kind of stiffer side. It's not super well animated. I do have to say, one of the things that I actually love about the love scene, the characters communicate. There's actually discussion between the two of them. It's not like any deep discussions, but they check in. There's that kind of responsible sense of sexual maturity in the way it's handled. At the same time, because Yusuke is a virgin, there's also the kind of fumbling that happens during the scene, and it is done in a way that doesn't feel gross. The scene is midway graphic. It's not super graphic, but there is an intimacy in the character interactions that actually works to make the scene feel more romantic and sweet, and in turn, well, not my cup of tea, sexy. So I actually was very impressed with that side of it. And then you have the big twist at the end. After everything that happened, he's in the restaurant, Yusuke's there, he sees Reiko, and he goes to talk to her, and she just walks right by him. She won't even look at him. And then it is announced that she is going to be leaving the restaurant, and everyone is kind of shocked. And then we get a to be continued. So obviously, the show is very simple, which is fine because I understand the restrictions. At the same time, it's frustrating for fans of the game because of the fact that the game does give not all of the characters that you can date, but a good chunk of the characters actual story and character growth and arcs. You're not going to be getting that here. This is very simple, cutesy storytelling. This is something that you can watch, and it is sexy, and it could probably have a few frames taken out, and it could play on late night cable. Like, it is nothing shocking. But at the same time, sadly, it is also very surface level and doesn't have a lot of depth to the characters. That's just a restriction of the structure of that style. This is 3 episodes. They have 3 episodes to tell 3 separate stories, and that's it. I am kind of surprised because I know this game series actually was very popular when it came out. It did very well for Cocktail Soft. And it did well enough where it actually had all ages versions created for this game. They did a version for the Sega Saturn, which removed all of the sexual content and nudity, replacing it with lingerie, which I guess was, for people who have played that version, they actually said it made the game a little more uncomfortable, and kind of changed the connotations of some scenes. But it was popular enough to branch out into the mainstream. Not to the same degree as like some of the other series that Cocktail Soft or Elf have worked on, but you know what? It did get that popularity boost. I think the third game actually got a theatrical movie. I think I saw it many, many moons ago. I don't remember it. I didn't. The problem with watching something like that is if you're not familiar with the characters, and in that case, it was very much like they expect you to be a fan of the game and be familiar with the characters. It's not going to be a very enjoyable experience. I do remember loving the character design, so. I am looking forward to episode 2 for this one. I believe it's not Rumi. Rumi is his sister, and he does not date his sister. I forget the girl's name. She's got pink hair. And I'll probably know her name after the next episode. I think it's... No, that's not it. No, we'll figure out. But that's kind of one of the other problems I have, other than Satomi and Reika, because she's the focus of this. I thought my computer was here for some reason. Light up. There we go. I hate when my computer does that. It's very quick to shut down. A lot of the characters don't really make much of an impression. I know they're there for fan service for people who like the character from the game, but you don't get a ton. And I will say Satomi, even though I know she is endgame, she is the true ending character. She really doesn't do much more than be mean to Yusuke. I mean, he deserves it most of the time, but she's kind of a jerk to him the entire time. And I know it's because she likes him and all that. But still, you have you don't get a lot of deep characterization. And that is one of the things I'm noticing with some of the cuter shows. That was something I think Magical Twilight was able to actually get right because it focused on a central couple through the 3 episodes. You didn't obviously get like epic character arcs, but you did get an arc for the characters a little bit, namely Chipple and Irene. Here, because we're not just following one couple and we are having a lead character who is going to be basically dating several of the female characters, you get a much more compact narrative for those characters. So I'm interested to see how things develop with episode 2, because episode 1, my issue there is knowing Reika's story and kind of where it could go and what some of the underlying themes are with her that they do try and portray. I was frustrated because I thought it could have been more interesting, but it also felt like they really did not want to get too serious because they want the series to remain very light and just fan servicey. Not just in the purient sense of like nudity and that type of stuff, but in the like, we are letting you see your favorite characters from the game be animated and come to life, and we're giving you little glimpses of them. So, you know, my hopes are pretty standard. I do think I'm going to like this one more than Magical Twilight. I just like the world in general. I'm wondering if this shared a lot of the same production team as Can Can Bunny, because Can Can Bunny Extra, which was also based off a Cocktail Soft game, the animation there had a lot of the same issues. This was produced by Pink Pineapple. It was animated. The animation studio was Triple X, which is actually ARMS. That is one of their pseudonyms. The animation is okay. So, all right, enough rambling. Next Wednesday, we will be covering the 2nd episode of Pia Carrot. And hopefully it stays light and it stays fun. It looks like there's a little more drama. And I'm all for a little soapy drama, as long as we do not end up going into the depths of depravity that Elle subjected me to. If I am saying, enough about that show. It scarred me. This show, Pia Carrot, is therapy for me right now. All right. So, new episode, Wednesday, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. We will be doing Welcome to Pia Carrot, episode 2. If you liked what you saw during the video, give me a like. It'll help the channel out, and I'll definitely need the help. And, makes me feel good. And if you want to make sure you don't miss any episodes, subscribe and hit the bell so you get notified when my new episodes drop. And as I always say on my other channel, love what you love, enjoy what you're reading, watching, and especially here, fapping to. And have an amazing morning, afternoon, or evening. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.